All right, so I thought I'd brag a little bit. I know no one likes a bragger, but hear me out. I just want to share this because it makes me feel happy, and I want to share it, like, because it makes me feel happy. So, about 2 weeks ago, I was given about 30 cigarettes away that week, or a pack and a half. And 12 or 14 of those was to a homeless couple. And I gave my spare lighter, basically, or last month's lighter, so it didn't have a lot of juice in it, but it had enough to cover those cigarettes and a little bit extra on top of it. And that made me feel really good, right? Because that's the kind of thing I like to do. It makes me feel good when I can make people happy and feel perked up and like feel like someone actually cares about them and so on. This last week, I gave about 10 or 15 cigarettes, so less, but still about a pack's worth almost, or half a pack. I can't remember exactly how many, but it was something like a pack or a pack and a half. Or no, sorry, a pack, or slightly less than a pack, basically. And today, actually, it was really cool because a younger woman actually talked to me, and she was low on electricity on her electric wheelchair, and she couldn't get past a driveway. Now, the driveway is kind of like this, except then it kind of goes like that a little bit in the driveway, and she couldn't get over the hump at the edge of the driveway onto the normal sidewalk again because she was so low on juice and so on. So she saw me and she's like, "Oh, I know that guy," and then asked me to push her home and so on. So that was pretty cool. You know, like a woman trusting me, basically, who's young and attractive and so on. And we talked a little bit while I was pushing her, and like I got a little exercise in because it's a bit of a heavy wheelchair. And yeah, I don't know. It's one of those moments where it's like a woman talked to me who's like actually attractive, and she trusted me, and it's not often that I get that. I mean, I don't look too presentable in a way. If I cut my hair, I'd probably look pretty handsome, actually, again. But, scruffy as I look right now. But we're neighbors, basically. So it's like, of course I'm going to help her if I can. Um, and it's just, it reminded me of that thing of like the woman going like, "Oh, I only got 10 compliments today. My life is over. I'm so ugly." And the man going like, "A little grandma said I was handsome 10 years ago, and I haven't forgotten it to this day." I'm kind of living that experience a little bit. So, these little things are good. And I guess I've become enough of a staple of my area for people who come by on occasion definitely saying hello to me, regardless of how scruffy I currently look and so on. You know, um, so that's pretty cool. What can I say? I like it. I like being recognized as not just another body, but as like a genuine individual who people can relate to, or maybe not necessarily relate entirely, but like say hello to and be friendly with and so on. And the funny thing is this particular building has a lot of turnover at times, but there's a bunch of older fellows who are staples of this building as well, and they get the same treatment as me basically, except some of them are a little more down with the ladies, even though they're like twice as old as me or something. So it's kind of funny, watching like a 70-year-old like say hello to like 25-year-old woman or something like that, or a 50-year-old woman, and like it's like you know all the 50-year-old women go to these men, and like it's just funny. It's cool, I guess. Um, I'm not that old, so I'm looking at the 25-year-olds more myself. But it's just cool, I guess. A lady actually walked by one time and gave me a chocolate covered ice cream bar, and told me she wrote a poem about me. And that was kind of funny and cool. We talked for a little bit, and it was just good. You know, and there's a lady that drops by, and she once gave me a beer. I mean, she's given me a beer once in a while, actually, not too often, but we don't see each other that often. But I think about half the time she's seen me, she's actually given me a beer. And I've tried to give her cigarettes, and those are nice for her and stuff like that. But one of the things I'm really glad about is that I had a chocolate bar, like a big one. Um, so I gave her that for the beer that she gave me last time, and she was really excited and happy to get it. And I was like, "Oh yeah, nice, yeah." So yeah, I guess there's a community in this neighborhood. You know, um, it's good to be part of a people's, even if it's a small community or neighborhood or tribe or something like that. Like that. Like I don't necessarily have a lot of ties with my area in terms of general history or culture. But where I go, I like to be someone who's part of the group, at least a little bit, or at least part of the group, you know? And while I like being part of the group in this building that I'm in, it's even cooler to also be part of the general neighborhood and recognized and seen as not a threat or just another degenerate or something like that, but like an actual person who they can trust and rely on and talk to and enjoy the company of and so on. You know, and I wouldn't trade that for. The only thing I would trade it for is if Baby Girl came back and we went to a new neighborhood and basically did the same level of things like that with the new group of people and so on. I don't know if I would necessarily keep in contact with my current building if I moved across town, because it's like, part of it is like your neighbors and that's why you're so friendly and so on. But I'm never going to forget the company and the camaraderie and the companionship that this building has provided me. And I don't think it necessarily exists in other buildings too much from the regulars and so on. I did mention that I wanted to be in a better put together place with better put together people and so on. But I'm also of two minds about that, sort of. Like, I would definitely leap at the chance, but I would also probably want to try to keep in contact with the people of my building, or at least some of them and so on, uh, for a while at least after I leave. Even though I would probably want to live on the other side of the city, to be honest. Um, and it's just one of those things that it's kind of like army buddies in a way. We're in the shit, so to speak, at the moment. Like our building is in the shit in a way, near Skid Row and like downtown and so on. And I, even though I want to move to the center of town, away from downtown, um, sort of in the borderline region between the rich and the poor, sort of middle class area, so to speak. Um, I'm never going to forget the friendship and companionship and camaraderie of where I live now. We're not too rich. We're slightly above the homeless range. Um, but it's a home, and it's a place to lie at night with your own room, and the companionship has made it a home for at least a while, at least. And it's given me friendships that I thought I had lost forever. Not with the same people that I'm not friends with anymore, but the level of friendship that I thought I lost forever until this building, basically. Um, so it's pretty cool. I love it. Or at least I love the companionship. Um, I'm sort of becoming, over time, a not necessarily a staple of the community, but a couple people have been helped by me in the neighborhood, and apparently this one particular woman trusted me enough to get me to help her get home when she couldn't move herself. So that really makes me kind of like, feel a lot better and so on. It's the kind of thing that selfishness can't buy, no matter how rich you are. And I definitely suggest it. Sometimes it's a little inconvenient and so on, but if you do it out of the goodness of your own heart, um, you know, what you get out of it is so much more priceless than gold, diamonds, jewels, or fame or fortune, basically. I mean, I realize I'm kind of bragging online and so on, so it's kind of like looking for fame through, uh, uh, you know, but, but, I'm doing the real stuff, and I've been doing it for a while before I started bragging online. I bragged about how I paid the bloodiest price ever, almost, it seems like, for my wrongdoing, and now I'm bragging about how I'm doing all sorts of little things for other people to help them out and stuff like that. And yes, that's part of my narcissism and so on. But I'm actually doing it. Like, I've actually done it, and I'm actually doing it. And like, I'm past doing bad things to myself to pay for past wrongdoing, basically. But I'm now moving towards, I have been moving towards, because of one of my neighbors specifically, actually, doing for me good things and telling me that he feels better doing good things for other people. That's what started me on the path to helping other people out through his inspiration towards me, basically. And no, I'm not saving the world. No, I'm not fixing all of society or anything like that. Kind of things I was trying to do before, which is beyond my pay grade, basically. But I'm doing little things that genuinely help the little people out and so on. And it's just wholesome, and it gives a good feeling in your body. So I definitely suggest other people try it out and so on. Um, and by the way, I'm not talking about opening a door and holding it for a woman, and then she goes, "I don't like you doing that for me," and then you go, "Oh, wow, wow, what a bitch," because that's nice guy TM behavior. I'm talking about I'm more talking about making yourself available for those who ask for your help, and then providing it, basically, in as best a way as you possibly can. And you can offer help when you think it might be necessary or important to them or something like that. But if it's not asked for, don't expect congratulations for doing it, basically. And yes, I'm doing this for a warm, fuzzy feeling, and it makes me feel a lot better when someone acknowledges that I've done something for them. But the guy today who was like, "Can I have a cigarette?" And I gave him one. And he's like, "Could I have a second one?" And I gave him one. And then basically I was like, "Oh, hey, wait, no, here's a third cigarette." And then he asked for $2, and I was like, "Okay, I don't actually have that." so I can't give you that. Um, it's like, I know he appreciated what I did for him because even if he expected the 2 cigarettes, I gave him a third, which he didn't ask for, and so on, which is why I did it. Sort of it's almost passive aggressive in a way. Um, like there's but it was kind of based on a premise that I believe Jesus said, which is if a Roman soldier asks you to walk a mile carrying his stuff, which is legally required of the person the soldier asks in the Roman Empire, walk with him 2 miles carrying his stuff. So it's a little passive aggressive almost in a way, but it's doing a more than they asked to get them to remember that you're doing it for them. And it's only passive aggressive in the sort of like, yes, I'm helping you out direction. You know what I mean? But it's also like, oh, he actually wants to help out, and he's actually helping me out more than I wanted from him. Yeah, so it's like slightly passive aggressive, but at the same time, it's like a weird Christian way of being passive aggressive in the helpful, in the way that in a direction that they actually want. So it's like, so it's okay to be that way and so on. You know what I mean? And it's not like a really temper tantrum like, oh, you want a cigarette, and then throwing like a whole pack at his face or something like that. It's not that. You know, it's just here's a third cigarette that he didn't ask for. You know, and would you like it? And he said yes, and I was like, that's cool. Yeah. So I know he appreciated it, and I gave a little more than he asked for and expected, and it's fine. Yeah. But yeah. I that's well, like I said, it's my version of passive aggressive and passive aggressive at this point. Um, so it is what it is. Yeah. Unfortunately, I also ran out of spare cigarettes, so I couldn't give them to anyone else. I've got to I've got to ration my own cigarettes now. So that was unfortunate. I had to turn down 1 or 2 people after that, but oh well, I'm not made of money, so I can't help literally everyone out. But as long as I have the resources to spare, I'm basically willing to or something.